That's the reality, and that's part of doing business. And they'll say part of doing business is us, taking his team elsewhere. And that is your right. But do not pin the county on this anymore. Do not say it, because it took 49 days to reverse the vote. And if you can't figure out the problem after 49 days, that's pretty that's pretty bad. That's pretty sad.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Rays, your daily podcast covering everything Tampa Bay Rays, from game analysis to player interviews. We've got you covered with all the latest news and insights. My name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulysses Zambrano.
And it's your boy, Evan Closky.
Back again, and we appreciate it, bringing you expert analysis and passionate discussions about our beloved Rays.
Whether you're a diehard fan who vividly remembers Longo's Game 162 just like us,
or you remember the early Devil Ray days of Wade Boggs or Carl Crawford,
we're here to break down every play, every trade, every stadium deal, and every milestone. In fact, this is our 6th season covering the Rays daily.
In every season up till 2024, they've gone to the playoffs, but you can still grab your favorite Rays gear, settle in, and subscribe to our Locked On Rays YouTube channel and other podcast platforms. You can also find us on X and Instagram at Locked On Rays.
This episode is brought to you by college football playoffs. They are here, and you don't want to miss a moment of the action. The college football playoffs presented by Allstate begins with 4 first-round games, December 20th and the 21st on ESPN, ABC, TNT, and Max.
All right, we have Mr. Evan Closky on the program today. We appreciate it. Following a momentous vote by the Pinellas County Commissioners, they approved the Rays stadium bonds 5-2. Not 4-3 like I thought it would be. 5-2. Evan, I assumed you listened or watched or followed closely the developments of that lengthy agenda item and meeting. What did you make? What's your first impressions and thoughts on what happened yesterday evening, late afternoon?
First impression is that Chris Latvala has quite the fastball at Stu Sternberg's chin. Just skewered him. So, look, the main takeaway is the county is going to follow through with the deal that they originally agreed upon. And even though Eggers and Latvala are not fans of the deal, obviously Rob Manfred came in, said some things that make them a bit more confident in where this is heading. And that could be no stadium's going to happen on the St. Pete side. It could be new ownership's coming in. It could be the fact that, hey, we're going to put, you pass your side of the deal, get it done, and then we'll handle Stu. It could also have been Manfred saying, look, if you don't take care of this, if you delay it one more time, I'm telling you, not Stu, I'm telling you we're going to leave. So there could be a whole litany of things that are happening behind closed doors. But it's very clear and not coincidental that Manfred talked with DeSantis, Manfred talked with the county commissioners, and all of a sudden things are moving forward. So, it's a little bit of political posturing from this point. And obviously I posted kind of the lengthy written statement that Latvala said, and he didn't really speak to the media afterwards. He just handed out his statement again.
Right.
And that was it. So ultimately the biggest takeaway is, hey, Stu, ball's in your court. And already Matt Silverman has come out and said there's a funding gap. So, cool. We knew this was coming. We knew you were going to pass it, and same issues still apply for that.
Now, let's first say that the character arc of Chris Latvala has been amazing. It's like Aaron Sorkin or Quentin Tarantino wrote his character. Pretty great. It's like if you went back the last 2 months, people were skewering him as he did Stu yesterday. But now you go into his Twitter page, and it's nothing but love for Chris Latvala, which the 180 is pretty cool.
Do you mind if I read his statement just for the listeners
Sure.
out there that he put forth on social media? Quote, last week I spoke to MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred, who expressed to me his support of Major League Baseball in Tampa Bay and the importance of passing these bonds to keep the Rays in Tampa Bay. While I do not trust the owner of the Rays, I trust Mr. Manfred. He is the reason I am voting yes. MLB is aware of several instances where the Rays organization has intentionally tried to sabotage the very deal that they agreed to. As a result of this vote, it is my hope that the Tampa Bay Rays will finally have an owner that our other wonderful local franchises have. Rays fans deserve to have our own Vinnick, Steinbrenner, Glazer, or Middleton, who can care more about the fans and community as they do their own bottom line, end quote.
And let it be known, and if you want to go, that's also that's not everything he said in his kind of speech saying I'm flipping to a yes.
Right.
If you want, I posted the whole thing on my Twitter if you want to see it. But it is interesting that Latvala, in his questioning that they did beforehand, I believe that this was questioning with either Stadco or the county attorney, I forget which one, but he was asking about what the ramifications would be if the Rays sold partially or more than partially, and how long that process would take. Again, reading tea leaves.
Sure.
And if we're reading tea leaves and he is coming so heavy-handed at Stu, I tend to think he knows something. That's just the way that I am reading tea leaves. Now, I could be wrong. He could just sell a part. It's very clear. I don't see how the Rays move forward in this project without selling some sort of stake in what they got. They don't have the money. It's abundantly clear they do not have the money. They've repeated that, and whether you believe Commissioner Brian Scott or not, when he says Brian All called him up the day before that original vote and said, I'm trying desperately to hold this deal together, the Rays combat that. But if you believe the county commissioner, it didn't matter if that vote passed on time. They might not have had the money anyway.
Can I interject here for a moment? So, do you truly believe the Rays don't have the money, or that's their posturing? Because as it's been thrown out there, the delay by a month and a half, or however specifically long it's been, 49, 50 days, the Rays have unofficially said to folks that that has increased construction by $150 to $200 million. A 50-day delay results in that. That's hard to believe, in my opinion, frankly.
Well, and that's John Romano had a great article in the Tampa Bay Times. I think a lot of people have had many opinions about John throughout this process. Of course, he's the one that, helped Stu kind of light the flame. I don't want to say he helped, but Stu called him. He wrote the story. That's kind of what you do. And so on and so forth. But he brings up a great point of you have to present evidence to us that for some reason a 49-day delay cost you that much amount of money and pushes a season into another year when you also can just knock down the current stadium and probably expedite the build. And not to mention, you also have precedent where other teams have started at least halfway through the year in a different location to then move into their new home. I think he mentioned the Mariners did it. Obviously, the Blue Jays most recently during COVID played in Dunedin, moved up to Buffalo afterwards, midway through the year. So it's the big question is, it doesn't seem like you're trying. It doesn't seem like you're trying to to find ways to make it happen. You're just asking for more money. You instead of searching for a solution where you're going to make your money work for you. And as far as potential, I can see the county and the city have said they're not going to give another nickel to you guys. Okay. What I can see is there is the current use agreement, and it is, as part of this current use agreement, Pinellas County has to provide a home for the Tampa Bay Rays and go through certain steps. And right now, the city is going as slowly as possible to meet its legal requirements, right? They are not like originally they voted and said, we're going to fix the roof, $27 million. And then that got revoted and said, no, we're not doing it. Mm-hmm. Then they came back and voted and say, yeah, we're going to approve $1 million for the build, or, to start calling somebody. They're trying to slow this process down, but in the end, they are responsible for rebuilding the Trop, for building a home for the Rays. And in doing so, there is a little bit of a maybe help me, help you. Hey, rebuilding the Trop is going to cost $50-60 million. What if we give you $50 million and that goes into the new stadium, the project, so on and so forth? You're going to have to pay that money anyway.
Right.
At least you're building it towards your future versus your past. So that would be a way. But again, $50 million, I think, is a spit in the bucket for what the Rays need right now, considering they also need money up front. So just to answer your question, I do look, I think their valuation's one thing. I don't know if the Rays have the money in the bank to get off the ground and get this thing cooking as fast as it needs to get cooking. And they can get the MLB loan. They can get some stuff from, they got to fulfill 11 requirements before even those bonds get used or bought out by the county and given to the Rays. There are a lot of things they have to do. And at this point, they've only provided evidence of north of $11 million into the project. The county attorney's office during the meeting said it is of the Rays' opinion that they've spent $50 million. That this isn't my opinion. This is what the county attorney said, that it's very much the documents they provided to prove that they have spent $50 million doesn't necessarily hold water yet.
Right.
There's a lot of gray. Some of the things they had to do are just like NA, not available. So there's a lot of questions. You don't know. And I believe, and maybe it was good cop, bad cop, right? Stu was the bad cop. Manfred was the good cop. But ultimately, it seems like the city and the county giving $600 million in public financing is probably a good enough peace offering for Major League Baseball, who wants to stay in the market. At least that's what Manfred repeatedly says.
Yeah.
Probably seems like a good enough peace offering to say, you guys have done your job.
Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet just $5 and you get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL. Only one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, while you're eating some snacks on the couch, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started again with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
I think it would be a bad look on Major League Baseball to then go back to the public and say, we need more money from you. I don't think they want to be a part of those games.
I agree. But let me dig deeper on the Stu side of things, on the ownership, because how is the fandom supposed to believe that they are 100% truthful when they say we don't have the money, when they don't show how they get those calculations that 49 days causes $100 to $200 million in overrun cuts? Like, how is the fandom supposed to believe them?
In the end, it doesn't matter at this point, like whether you believe them or not. I think the whole beginning of this was a lot of Rays fans wanted the county, whether it was newly elected officials or not, the county agreed to this deal, right? And Rays fans wanted that deal that was agreed upon to follow through. Mm-hmm. I think that was the angst around Latvala and Eggers to start. Hey, do not be the ones that block this, because whether they think they would have been responsible or not, it wouldn't have mattered. They would have been responsible. The Rays would have buried their asses, and it would have been a hard fight. We can rationally talk about this, and we have even before that vote, but they would have lost that PR battle. Now the Rays, they don't have a winning lane in the PR battle, because going to the public and saying we need more money because the county delayed the vote, BS. It's sorry. If you did not account for a 49-day delay in your 4-year build, 30-year project, $6.5 billion redevelopment project, if you didn't build in a 49-day delay, that's just bad business.
Yeah.
And the fact is, if you could not afford it, it should have been written. It should have been written in the contract that these bonds need to be approved on this date, or the deal terminates, or so on and so forth. There was no such language. And what we've heard in the past from the county attorney, the Rays did want punishments for certain delays. The county would not agree to that, and thus it was never in the contract. But they never said this stuff needs to be done by this date. It's just not.
But the 49-day delay, it doesn't make sense that it would just completely throw everything off course, because if we know who the Rays organization is, do we not know that they're one of the most the smartest and innovative and creative organizations? We're supposed to believe that that one of the most analytical front offices and ownership and organization in all of Major League Baseball cannot think that maybe, hey, there's going to be cost overruns that happen because of a 49-day delay. Like, how are we supposed as a fandom to believe that? I honestly, if anybody still believes in that the Rays ownership is 100% truthful in this, I don't know what to tell them, because they're not coming off across the right way, Kevin.
And this is the first of what could be a long time of belly aching, because not only do the Rays have the cost overruns, but my understanding is that if and when a new stadium is built, they are responsible for the ongoing maintenance and insurance of that facility, and it is not the city's responsibility for that. So I feel like they're going to continue to have their hand out for this, that, and the other thing.
And so a couple things. One, just in the just to provide the other side of the coin, Ulysses, the 49-day delay did cost them money. You can't tell Hines and all their people to move down here if you don't have bonds and if you don't have that agreement, which means naturally you are losing money on this deal. So we can all say, like, boo-hoo, right? We can all say, right. Rich people problems. But, rich people don't like losing money. They just don't. They didn't get rich by losing money.
That's why they're rich. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to say that the 49-day delay was a nuisance, and it did not help them, especially for a team that does not have a home.
Agreed.
And they will be bleeding money. They will be bleeding money this year. They will be bleeding money next year, and they will likely be bleeding money the year after that. So when you go year over year over year of what I was expecting to make, and now you factor in 3 years of red, you naturally, it's not just like, what do I have now? But it's like, I'm not recouping what I think I'm going to make in the future. So now my projections, remember before the roof fell off, my projections of what I was going to make with the Tropicana field is way different now in Steinbrenner, half the size, despite whatever jokes you want to make about the attendance. It's half the size. You got to pay the Yankees for the facility. There's a whole bunch of other gobbledygook in there. You don't have enough room to paint your advertising stuff in there. You have deals with sponsors, which are plastered all over the trop. That's now got to be negotiated again. You're losing a lot of money, all because that roof fell off. So, which again, that's why it's like, to me, the hurricane was still the biggest problem in this versus the actual delay, because that's where they lost all this money.
Right.
And that's where they're not, I think, the money's not in the bank as much as people might think it is, because they are not Steve Cohen rich. They are not. They are one of, they're trying to stay amongst the elite here, and they're super rich. Don't get me wrong, but
maybe they're not as rich to own a Major League Baseball team.
I mean, that's where look, it push comes to shove now that the stadium's in front of them, and they can't seemingly. I shouldn't even say seemingly. They admit there's a funding gap. They can't do their part in the deal originally made. That's a valid question. It's are you rich enough to own a team to make this happen? And
Evan, I asked Kevin the other day.
Good question.
If he liked yachts. Evan, do you like yachts?
Love yachts.
Love yachts. I would love to have 10 yachts.
Below deck sailing yacht, amazing show.
And Kevin would love to have 20. And I bet, Evan, that you at least want 7 yachts. But guess what? If we can't afford them, we don't buy them. We don't. And so now with these things about crying poor, and you're right, the hurricane is 100% to blame here. The first one, 100% the number one factor.
I think they could have bought the yachts, and now they don't feel as comfortable buying the yachts, and now they're stuck in the middle because they committed to somebody paying for the yachts, and now they're looking at their books and are saying, I don't know if it really makes much sense for us to buy all the yachts. So that's.
But again, can't they get a huge loan from Major League Baseball? Can't that hold them over for a while?
I mean, $100,000,
$100 million.
$100 million will help them. It's not going to make everything go away, though. This is a $1.3 billion project, right? They're on $700 million plus cost overruns. We're talking what, 12.5%, 15%. I mean, that helps. Don't get me wrong, it helps. But again, year over year, do you have the money or you don't? It's, and then do you get knee deep in this project, and then do you default, right? I mean, there are a lot of issues that can happen. And to me, it seems like they were playing on some small, thin margins. And they kind of got their hands caught in the cookie jar way too soon. Because if this would have happened midway through the build and they got stuck and you had an eyesore
hurricane,
and you had an eyesore in the middle of town, they would have flipped it around and said, well, we're not going to continue the build until you put up more money. And they would have leveraged that. And then the fear is also in this, are they going to still do that, right? I think that the Rays have whatever they want to say, however they want to come across, and however transparent they feel they are. They have lost the PR battle. They just have, and they never have won it. And all those years of posturing has built up to moments like this where the public is going to give you zero grace, none. So you haven't played your cards right in your entire tenure here in town, within the community. On the field, totally different story. We can talk about. I miss talking about baseball, right? And
100%.
Yeah, and how good I still think the team is going to be next season. But the fact is, they're not going to win this argument in the public. And I think even the most fervent supporters of the Rays are telling you, if you can't do this job, then just say you can't do it and take the team elsewhere. But don't pin the county on this anymore.
Thank you.
A lot of people were like, I was on your side when the county was saying no. But you know what? They turned it around.
Yeah.
So now it's your turn. Now it is your turn. And if you're going to say we're going to leave and do that, and I'm sure Stu is going to do more of that. I'm sure he's going to throw this team somewhere else in 2026. And I just don't think it's going to do much. I don't think it's going to place any pressure on Pinellas County. I don't think it's going to place any pressure on the city of St. Petersburg. I just don't. And the fact is, if they don't meet their requirements by the end of March, they get Zippo. So they also have to do their end to even benefit off the land. So
it's up to them now.
It's not necessarily a given that they get, there is a path to where the Rays just let this thing terminate and nothing comes of it. But now that they have about a few months. Yeah, 3 months to figure out what they want to do. And knowing the Rays, they're going to take every inch of time to figure that out because that's what they've always done.
Yeah.
And the reason the margin of error was so small in the first place is because they worked up into that deadline of when they needed that 2028 ballpark, and they gave themselves no wiggle room for what would happen if a delay happened.
Yes.
Again, we can blame these parties and that party and say who's culpable for what, and we can all move around our numbers to say they're 80% responsible, 75%, whatever. We can argue that and debate that. Yeah. But the fact is, they cannot act like they were screwed over here. You had the decision in the contract making. You had the decision with cost overruns. You agreed to some stuff, and you landed yourself in a deal in your eyes. That's the reality, and that's part of doing business. And they'll say part of doing business is us, taking this team elsewhere. And that is your right. But do not pin the county on this anymore. Do not say it, because it took 49 days to reverse the vote. And if you can't figure out the problem after 49 days, that's pretty that's pretty bad. That's pretty sad. I have to admit that.
Time to tell you about Select Quote. Select Quote is one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience helping over 2 million customers find over $700 billion in coverage since 1985. Other life insurance brokers offer impersonal one-size-fits-all policies that may cost you more and cover you less. However, Select Quote's licensed insurance agents work for you to tailor a life insurance policy for your individual needs in as little as 15 minutes. You invest so much time to take care of yourself and to be the healthiest, best version of you. Select Quote's exclusive policies can reward that. If you are in good health, they work with carriers that could get you same-day coverage for up to $5 million, no medical exam required. And these policies are more affordable than you might think. You could get coverage for up to $1 million for as little as $20 per month. Get the right life insurance for you for less at selectquote.com/locked-on. Go to selectquote.com/locked-on today to get started. One more time, that's selectquote.com/LOCKEDON.
Closky on the clock.
Closky on the clock.
Closky on the clock.
Closky on the clock here. Closky on the clock.
Closky on the clock.
Closky on the clock.
Oh my gosh, this is a disaster.
It's haunting.
I let it a little bit longer.
Yeah, you let it breathe a little bit too long, like the whole stadium situation.
It's a little palate cleanser, from stadium talk to maybe not some stadium talk, because.
Well, I do have a stadium-related question.
Yeah, me too. Okay.
That might be all of them that I have anyway. The first one, Evan, you alluded to it. The Rays have until March 31st to meet certain benchmarks that would then unlock the cities and counties' funds for construction. Do you believe that the Rays will meet those benchmarks, or will they let the deal terminate and figure out what to do from there?
I wish I could provide a really good answer right now. I don't quite know. My assumption is that Stu and company will probably sell some sort of stake. If it's a minority stake, then I think it's full steam ahead. If it's a full stake, then the deal might terminate and a new deal might be formed, maybe somewhere else locally. Who knows? The fact is, this seems like a pretty good deal. I have a tough time believing that they're going to find a better deal elsewhere. And it really is put up or shut up time. If they want to be a Major League Baseball owner and have a new stadium, they have a pretty good deal in front of them. And to push for more in this spot, I think would be either you don't have the money or you're being a fool. So long story short, I'll say something gets figured out, but I'm not at all confident in that. I really am not.
That's fair. We got 3 months of theorizing. Is there a way for the Rays to back out of the deal without looking like the guilty party? And if so, how would that look like?
I really don't know how they're going to do that, because the only card that they have played up to this point is it's the county's fault for the delay. So if you at home are listening to this and you are in agreement that a 49-day delay doesn't cause the county to completely screw over a 30-year deal, a $6.5 billion redevelopment plan, then what other card do they have outside of pulling some old skeletons and complaining about attendance and corporate sponsorships and whatever other line that we've heard for a million years about their stadium saga? If they don't do the deal, I think they will be selling. I don't think Rob Manfred and other owners are going to be very happy about one of their owners not getting something across the finish line when they got $600 million in public financing. Yeah. I really think other owners are going to look down upon Stu and say that's pathetic.
It is.
I think that's the way that it comes across. And that's why I think Rob's coming to town being like, let me handle this. You do your job, because that's a bad look on you. It's a bad look on you if you don't finish. You do
County
your
Commission,
job.
St. Pete, you do your stuff. I'll take care of this guy.
Correct.
You do your part.
Because here's the thing. Stu still needs 23 other owners to agree on allowing him to relocate. And I have a tough time believing the other owners are going to say, yep, you can do that when you have $600 million in public financing right there at your hands. Exactly. Right there. It's right in front of you. It's agreed upon. I don't see it. It doesn't make any sense for Major League Baseball. They already wasted an expansion city on Las Vegas. They're not going to waste another city.
It's $3 to $4 billion that they will be saying no to.
And it's way different in Oakland. In Oakland, you already had that media market. You had San Francisco. You weren't as desperate to really stay there, to be honest. And B, they never got this close. They didn't even sniff this close on a new deal. This thing is agreed upon, money in hand, ready to go if you meet the requirements. So this, to me, I think, considering Rob has never changed his tune about staying in the Tampa Bay area, to me, I think other owners are like, what are we doing? Why are we wasting time? Stu, you literally are preventing me from making expansion money because you're posturing right now.
Snobby, petulant child, billionaire. Kevin, we have time for one more Closky on the clock question. I'm going to leave it up to you.
Okay. Thank you. It's also stadium related. Didn't get a chance to talk about Jeffrey Springs here, but Colleen Wright.
Do a quick one after this.
Okay. I'll let Ulysses take that one.
Okay.
Colleen Wright last week reported that the Rays were in talks for a stadium at Ybor Harbor up until the very end, 2 months before the team announced it was, quote, here to stay in September 2023 in St. Petersburg. Is this report a something burger, a nothing burger, or that's all I got? Is this a big deal or not?
It depends on how much you really know. It was Colleen did a really good job packaging it all together, but we've heard from Ken Hagan. We know that they put together a proposal. We know that the Rays were talking to people on the other side. We heard the reports from Forbes, I believe, right? That we heard that St. Pete City Council was pissed at the Rays for allegedly talking with somebody as the deal was going on. And they said, when this deal was agreed upon, we stopped conversations, right? So we always knew that they were flirting up until the very end. But the fact is, once this was agreed upon, once they said here to stay, it seems like all that did stop. So could that be rekindled? Could there be someone on the other side of the bridge willing to buy the team and make that thing happen? Absolutely. But it's I just think it's a burger, and depending on if it was new news to you, you might think it's a bigger burger than what I'm saying it is. But again, I think that was I think it was just really good by Colleen to get more details on those discussions and put it into a nice article packaged form for you to digest, where we kind of knew all this stuff was happening based on what we've heard and things that have leaked out throughout this process.
Boys, we would have free parking at my house. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
And we know somebody here who loves that.
Yeah. I actually want to share the profits of all the cars that you park on your lot.
Yeah, $20. And if you know what, if you're a Locked On Race listener, you show me that you've subscribed. Hey, buddy, $10. Come over. Last question for you. Let's actually talk about baseball because we miss that.
Yeah, I need that. I need a little bit of that after this.
Yeah, end on a good note.
So let's end it on a good note. Jeffrey Springs, Jacob Lopez, lefties, go to Oakland. No, sorry, go to Sacramento.
Yeah,
and
they're the Athletics now.
The Athletics. They go to play in Sacramento. Good for Jeffrey. I mean, honestly, he's better than Severino. Should be the opening day starter. He won't be, but he should be. The return. Boyle, Waters, a comp pick, and I'm forgetting the third name.
Simpson.
Yeah.
Nice power profile.
Yeah, but again, not going to be helpful 2025 offense or 2026 offense. What did you think about the return that really didn't target the one thing they need, which is offense, but they've got apparently some good arms that they could potentially build to something really good?
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, it doesn't help you now, which I think for some is kind of a missed opportunity. You know, at least when they traded Glasnow last year, they received Pepio, DeLuca. Those guys were key figures in 2024. This deal, you basically had a logjam at the starting pitching position. So, and not to mention starting pitching is at a premium right now with how these kids, how these guys are getting paid. So you had an amazing asset, and obviously Springs making north of $10 million was a logical sense to go because of what he was paying for. I actually really like Boyle if they can somehow get him in the zone. I like the other two. I certainly like the hitter they got in Simpson as well. So the deal I like. Do I think it's a missed opportunity to not help out your team in 2025? Yeah, and they also got the draft pick as well, which is not a nothing burger. But again, they're not really building towards making 2025 any better.
No,
they are making their franchise more foundationally strong. And as I've said for a little while now, this is a team that's probably built 26, 27, 28 to be a juggernaut. Somewhere in that realm, these prospects that they have are all going to emerge at the same time. And I think that's what they're lining up, is to try to get these guys coming up at the same time and really make all the stars align. And I certainly get acquiring a pitcher like Boyle, who has options and has phenomenal stuff. There might be a world where Boyle is better than Springs. And pretty much you got two assets for free. Three assets.
We've heard of haven't we seen a tall righty with powerful stuff that didn't have a third pitch become Tyler Glasnow? Hey, we've heard that story again.
If this guy can throw it in the zone, he is going to be electric.
Yeah.
So, and we saw that last year when he pitched against the Rays.
Wait, don't say electric because it's electrico. It's Luis Patino. It's that four players for the Snell, and I don't want to talk about.
A little bit different there. Little bit different. I think that's a different type of deal. Yeah, I think if they can do a redo, they wouldn't have acquired so many kind of like what if prospects. And they would have gotten more surefire things. But, you know, you live and you learn, and you're not going to hit 100% on some of these deals. But overall, good deal. But it does make me wonder if you helped out the 2025 team, which you did not. So, you know, I can't give it an A rating, but it's nothing that I'm complaining about or saying that the Rays are screwed for next year or they're not taking themselves seriously. It's none of that. This is how they do business, and it's very in line with the usual stuff that we see from Eric Neander and company, and it is a savvy deal on paper. So we go with that.
Evan, where can people find your savvy work on not only the Rays, but the Lightning, my Bucks. My Bucks.
Look at your shirt.
My Bucks are doing so good,
Look
boys.
at your shirt.
Baker is baking. Tell him all about it.
Yeah. You can find me at Closky WTSP on the X. You can also find the Blitz, our Buccaneers preview show, every week. It's airs Sunday on 10 Tampa Bay at 8:30 in the morning. But if you don't live in the area or you don't want to wake up that early and DVR it, you can head to our YouTube page, 10 Tampa Bay YouTube page, or our 10 Tampa Bay app, and it pops up every Saturday. So we give it to you a day earlier for watching from there. But otherwise, that Rays Stadium stuff is still, that will pop up through. Yeah. You always got to keep an eye out for that. And also your Tampa Bay Lightning, Kevin Weiss, on a heater. So they're also doing very well. And we're keeping tabs of them as Jake Gensel has scored in 7 straight games. So pretty good offseason acquisition for them.
Just like Ulysses can name every Bucks player on the 53-man roster without looking, and the college they went to, and how many years of experience they have. I can do the same with the Lightning's roster, but I don't want to embarrass anybody right now. So.
Yeah. It's getting late in the show, and we got to wrap it up. But if we had more time, of course, we would do both of those.
Yes, exactly. Yes. In the meantime, hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you next week.